Welcome to Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance inside the state capitol in Nashville, Tennessee. We are joined by Ron Ramsey. He is Lieutenant Governor, Speaker of the State Senate, and he has announced he is moving on. Say it isn't so, sir. Say it isn't so.
I'm moving on. As I said him on spoke recently. I said that life seems like life's flying by, and it is. When I ran 4 years ago, I had one little grandson.
Yes.
He was a year old, and now he's starting kindergarten this year, and I got 4 grandsons. And the day that I announced, I actually had a little granddaughter born that day. So it's been a pretty good ride, but at the same time, it's time to go back home.
And let's talk about that ride, because you really have seen changes in Tennessee. When you joined the General Assembly in 1993, Tennessee was a very different place politically, still a bastion of kind of Southern Democratic power, and Democrat, I mean capital D, the Democratic Party. Since the Republican Revolution, I guess you could say, in 2010, you have presided over a state Senate and really a General Assembly that is in Republican hands. Talk to us about that evolution.
Absolutely. When I came to the state House, I remember it was exactly 2-1, Democrats, 66 to 33. And then in '96, I came over to the Senate. I think at that time the Democrats had a 19 to 14 majority, and I wasn't happy serving in a minority.
I can imagine.
And I said, I'm going to figure out a way of changing this. And my colleagues elected me to be caucus chairman in 2003. We got out recruiting candidates and raising money and said, we can do this. At that time, it was an 18 to 15 majority that year. In 2004, we won 2 seats and got a 17 to 16 majority. But John Wilder, the speaker at that time, had been here 34 years. 2 Republicans still decided to vote for him. I did not become speaker, but we didn't give up. We just kept recruiting candidates moving forward. And in 2007, I became the first Republican speaker in 140 years.
Even before the 2010 massive shift.
Oh, no, that was way before then. So 2010, we were at like 17 to 16. Then every 2 years we gained some. In 2010, we actually gained, 2012, we gained 6 seats. So now we have a 28 to 5 Republican majority.
Which is mind-blowing.
It is.
It really is mind-blowing to think that there are only 5 Democrats in the state Senate. But aside from the numbers, you're still reigning over a body that seeks to move Tennessee forward. Doesn't matter Democrat or Republican, you're all in it together. And so of what are you most proud?
Well, it's hard to say for sure exactly what you're most proud of, but I've had a mantra from very started that it matters who governs. And I think if you prove what we've done, it does matter who governs. On the fiscal side, since we've gotten our majorities in both houses, we're the one thing I'm most proud of, that the citizens of the state of Tennessee owe less money per capita than any state in the nation. And we go on and on the business issues. I just heard the governor announce today that this year, or last year, we were we had created more private sector jobs than any state in the nation. But where we've really been lacking over the years under Democrat leadership was education reform. We were always 47th, 48th. That's not where we needed to be, and we have taken the bull by the horns, and now Tennessee is the fastest growing state in the nation, period. The fastest growing state in the nation in education improvement. Well, I'm proud of that.
So when you think about the fiscal health of this state, it's hard to deny the numbers. The numbers are staggering. The state is facing a surplus of close to $2 billion. Now, that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing, because when $2 billion comes in, you don't expect it to come in, people want to start grabbing at those dollars. And so what have you done? What do you continue to do? What do you plan to do to protect those funds in such a way that they're spent wisely, but still wait for a rainy day that may come?
We have the rainy day funds as large as it's been since 2007. That's one thing we've done. We are looking at tax cuts, targeted tax cuts. We say we don't have an income tax here in the state of Tennessee, yet we do have a targeted income tax provided in our Constitution. I see you'll see an effort to do away with that.
Let's talk about the Hall tax, if we may. The Hall tax obviously is one that has been at least chipped away a bit, part of that through your leadership. The challenge, though, with the Hall tax is while we do see a surplus in the state, local government relies at some level on the Hall tax. 3/8 of the Hall tax goes to local government. And so of the plans that have been marching forward, there have been discussions about ways to chip away, slowly chip away, repeal, whatever it may be, the Hall tax, but leave the locals whole, I guess you could say. Where do you go with that?
Well, there's a way of doing that if that could be done. The problem is what is whole, because whole income tax fluctuates so much from one year to another. How do you find that baseline that is whole? And there are other ways of doing that. We could actually pass a bill that allows the locals, if they think this is important, then they can vote to adopt it.
Right, and I want to ask you about that, because that is definitely marching forward.
It is.
There's no question. It's part of the plan to look at whether we should give the power. I guess it's House Majority Leader Gerald McCormick is looking to allow cities and counties to impose their portion by referendum.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what do you think of that? Is that something you'd favor?
Well, let's be honest. So here's the deal. Everybody on local level fusses about the people on the state level. The people on the state level fuss about everybody on the federal level.
Right.
And so here we are wanting to cut the taxes for the citizens of the state of Tennessee, yet you have the locals complaining to us because we're taking some of their money away. Well, if they really think it's that important, then let's allow them to keep their money if they want to, but they're going to be the one to impose it, not us. And that's the way I look at that. And we're not going to do it all in one fell swoop.
Okay.
So I think you could do it a little bit at a time over 5 or 6 years, and you just learn to absorb that. You can.
Let's talk about education, an area of which you're most proud. As you know, as we speak today, the basic education program is still part of, there's a lot of rumblings around it because I guess it's only been half implemented, at least the funding formula side of it.
Well, I'm not sure how fair that was to begin with. And it's almost impossible to change it, because everybody wants to say, y'all, let's see how it affects me before I agree to a change.
Right.
So I think what the governor's come up this year to put more money into education, to partially fund that, is the way to do that. Because if you fund the larger school systems too much, the smaller school systems. If you fund the smaller school system too much, the larger school. So how can we put this money in there on a basis that is somewhat at least fair to everybody? I think we've reached a good compromise this year, but what we've done in education has a lot more to do with just funding. I mean, we've had teacher evaluations that are in place now that weren't in place a few years ago. We've had tenure reform. We've done away with collective bargaining for teachers, on and on and on.
Let me ask you about teachers, because sadly, a few weeks back, there was a standardized test that was to be implemented, Tennessee Ready. Didn't go so well.
No, it didn't.
Didn't go so well.
Because of the contract we had.
The contract didn't go so well, and so now we're going back to paper. But be that as it may, there is an effort, not just in Tennessee, but nationwide, to have standardized test scores at least play a part in evaluating teachers. Well, now with that test going belly up, I guess these results won't apply unless the teacher wants them to apply. So it feels like every time we're getting closer to at least having standardized tests being a part of the equation, something happens.
Yeah, but I think that's a fair way to do it. This year we hit a bump in the road that nobody expected.
Of course.
What happened was, last year we had some of the Common Core standards and things of that nature, and we as Tennesseans thought we need to develop our own standard.
Right.
We don't want to push down
Look
from
what
Washington.
happened.
And so we came with our own standard.
Right.
Well, then you have to change the whole implementation. The whole Pearson that was given them before, that isn't who we wanted to use, and we used somebody that apparently, quite obviously, wasn't prepared to do this, and so we hit this. But again, we're doing exactly what we did last year. I mean, last year they were paper tests. This year they are too. So what you do, you just pick yourself up and keep moving forward. Don't go backwards, and make sure that at least next year we should have these on the computerized, completely ready to go. And this year allow that flexibility for teachers. So I think that's more than fair for the teachers.
In our last moments, as you look towards the end of your career, what do you hope to achieve? You got several months left. What's your signature accomplishment in 2016?
Well, I don't know whether there'll be a whole lot to do this year. We'll be out of here in about 3 or 4 weeks out of session. I think we've still got the governor's focused act on higher education. As you mentioned, for the budget, it's a lot easier to balance a budget when you don't have enough money as when you have too much money. And so all that's what we'll be playing out the next 4 weeks. I don't have any signature issue that I'm pushing for. It's been a great ride, an unbelievable career. I would have never, ever thought that I'd ever be lieutenant governor of the state of Tennessee, let alone for 10 years. When somebody always asks me, Ron, how you doing? I always say I'm living the dream. And I mean it. I am living the dream.
And we congratulate you on a very successful tenure. Please stay in touch. Give our best to your 5 grandchildren. His name is Ron Ramsey. He is lieutenant governor of the beautiful state of Tennessee. My name is Brad Pomerance. This is Charter Local Edition.